All right. Well, I'm here with one of my former clients, Audri. Audri's so kind for coming on and just talking about her experience with me. So thank you, Audri, for being here and allowing me to just interview you about working with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm just so curious, like what what initially led you to seek somatic therapy um in the first place?
Yeah, I think I had heard a lot of people that I really respect and really admire talking about it from both a recipient standpoint and a facilitator standpoint. And it just seemed to move things in such a deep way for them and for their clients. Um, and I think I kind of have a tendency to want to wait. Like when I hear something that's really cool, like I want to wait until it really strikes me. And so I just kept like listening and getting more excited for the moment that I would get to try it because yeah, it just seemed to impact people so deeply and so powerfully.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your expectation on it, right? You were like, okay, I've been like hearing about this. I just want to like feel it out and see. So how was your experience with it? What was our how did our sessions impact you?
Yeah, so I tend to run pretty analytical. I'm a very creative person, but I also have a pretty strong analytic side. And so I was excited to do it because it seemed like it was such a feeling. Somatic experiencing came from such a feeling standpoint and sensory standpoint. So, when we got on the call, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and we started with just really basic things. It didn't start off with things that were super deep or super intense. It was just like being here in the room. What am I feeling? Noticing things that are in my environment that are familiar to me, and then from there, it just almost immediately opened up into something that was actually very deep and was something that I had been working on just kind of in my, regular self work, whether, therapy or my own spiritual practices. And it opened me up to just reconsider really important relationships in my life, things that had happened in them and how those things had impacted me today. But it was not analytic at all. It wasn't, you know, um, drawing lines and trying to like there's that image, there's that meme of the guy with all of the strings and all of the tacks on his board, going like, this is my, my masterpiece of, I figured out why I am the way I am. It was just more a coming together of different experiences and different feelings that hadn't really been connected before. So, and I think for me that just having pieces come together really impacts the way I feel on a daily basis, feeling whole, feeling integrated, feeling like all of my parts are on the same page, that I'm congruent internally. So I would say that's how the somatic experiencing affected me in my life as well, not just in the session.
Yeah, thanks for that reflection. And I love how you just described everything so perfectly and also how intuitive this work is, right? Like I'm guiding you through it, but we're just allowing, taking the analytical mind away for a moment and really just tuning into your innate wisdom that's already there, that already wants to heal. Yes, I'm guiding you and I'm asking specific questions, but really it's your own body and your own nervous system that is taking the lead through this process.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just so curious, in what ways have you noticed changes in your relationship with your body, your emotions, and self-awareness since going through some somatic therapy?
Yeah. Well, so I have a background um in meditation and some other spiritual practices. And I think what was really cool about bringing somatic experiencing into kind of that um like toolbox or personal practice was having a very direct line between an experience or practice and success, like having going into the somatic experiencing and uh exploring it with curiosity and like, you know, expectation as far as like it's going to work, it's going to do something, but, you know, not knowing how I was going to get there, and then getting there to that place and having, you know, an impactful experience, and then having, you know, going about in life. I think having the experience of it being successful makes it a much more accessible tool, because I and my brain both recognize if I'm going through something, I'm like, okay, well, what's going to work that I know is going to work? And I'm like, well, the somatic experiencing was something that worked very quickly, you know? And so I have an easier recall with it. And because it's just about being aware, you know, being aware and being curious, then that can be used anywhere at any time, you know, whether it's like if I'm experiencing anxiety, you know, if I'm like waiting for my plane and I'm surrounded by people and my plane is running late or something like that, you know, it's like, okay, well, what would help me right now? And like I said, my brain just goes like, well, this worked, you know, like it's kind of that, like
Mm.
I feel like the things come up the most quickly when I know that they work. And so somatic experiencing is the practice of, for me, has been just stopping and going, okay, what do I notice? You know, where do I notice it in my body? Where do I not notice it in my body? And just kind of letting that be. And then it becomes like a personal internal journey when maybe the external is uncomfortable or, you know, difficult for me to deal with. It's like I have something to turn to. That's how I would say it impacts me in my daily life.
Yeah, I love how you just said that because I also have a meditation practice, I have a chanting practice. You know, some people do breath work, but you're not going to be sitting in an airport or driving, like doing these, you can't like meditate while you're driving. And like, how weird would it be in the airport, like doing breath work? I'm sure people do it, but like
Yeah.
when you have the tools of somatic experiencing, it's like, oh, I can do the like the basic practices of it in like these bigger environments, and it's like, oh, okay, nobody even knows that I'm doing it. No one can even see that I'm like being aware of my surroundings right now. And then all of a sudden feeling more grounded, feeling more centered, feeling more like in your body and in the space around you, to feel more connected to your environment and within yourself. Um, yeah. So, what advice or insights would you give to others who are considering somatic therapy?
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Don't wait as long as I did to try it. Yeah. Um, so you know, I do think, just speaking to like my analytic mind, and how it pairs with my affinity for spiritual and creative practices, is to have some kind of goal in mind. Whatever that, you know, if it's like you know, I want to get to the root of what my anxiety is, you know, or I just want to feel a little bit less stressed. Just something to kind of be like a tether, you know, of what you're going into a practice like this. Now, obviously, we don't want to create an expectation of, okay, I'm going to have one session and I'm healed from my anxiety, you know, because I think managing something like some of the things that are challenging, it's actually a practice of working with it. But having something like having a goal in mind kind of gives the practice, I think, like something to work with, you know, like looking at the practice as like a form of like consciousness within ourselves. So, yeah, I would say like, what do you want to shift, or what do you want to look at? What do you want to learn about yourself, and have curiosity. The curiosity is key, to, you know, getting even deeper into goals, getting deeper into causes, and to just like experiencing being a human being, you know, like what is this? What is happening right now? So be curious. Um, and to choose a practitioner that you vibe with, you know. And obviously, like I'm talking to you're the practitioner that I've worked with, and I think I just really deeply appreciate um how you listen. And this is just part of who you are, you know. I was thinking about this the other day with, you know, there's been talk about how loneliness is this epidemic in all age groups, that's really increased after the pandemic, even though we become so much more digitalized and we have so much more contact with each other through the internet. But I think like with the block, there's many blocks, but one of the blocks that happens with the communication digitally is that we're not like really listening to each other. It's more about delivery and expression and less about really like taking in another person's experience. And I think that what you bring as a practitioner, Erin, is the ability to really listen deeply. And that creates so much space for your client, for myself, having that experience to really be curious, and so, people are considering somatic experiencing, work with Erin, or, let first, if you're look for somebody who can really listen,
Mm.
because I think that that's really key and really that you feel safe with.
Yeah, it's really great advice. Such great advice. I 100% also agree with you. Find somebody that's actually listening and asking good questions where you feel safe and supported going through your journey. And yeah, I just want to thank you again so much for coming on. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? If not, we can, yeah, just end this interview.
Yeah. I would say just give it a chance, and it's that, healing, just the journey of healing itself is trying different things. And I think somatic experiencing is literally just trying different things. It is just trying and exploring and learning. And like I said, I think somatic experiencing works great for small things and also really big things. So, if like my advice to somebody who's thinking about it, if they feel like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I don't really need help with this, or if they're thinking this is such a big deal, there's no way that this can help, if it's either of those things or anywhere in that spectrum,
Mm.
just try somatic experiencing. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Audrey. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, take care.